Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD bodybuilder, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the push-pull legs upper-lower split. This is a really interesting 5-day setup that I didn't know about for the first few years of my bodybuilding career. The science-based bodybuilding community generally recommends trying to hit each muscle group at least twice per week. And there were two very popular splits that came out of this: upper-lower and push-pull legs. Now the upper-lower split works well for 4 days per week, and push-pull legs works well for 6 days per week. But how about 5 days per week? And this is where push-pull legs upper-lower comes in, where it fits into a 5-day split and addresses some of the disadvantages of both push-pull legs and upper-lower. Quick outline for today: we're going to start off by talking about implementation. Then I'm going to be going over the pros and cons of this 5-day split programming structure. And then I'm going to be giving you 2 full programs. I'll show you a conventional push-pull legs upper-lower program, and then I'll give you a modified push-pull legs upper-lower program, which will address some of the disadvantages of the split. If you've been enjoying my content, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into it. Starting off, when we talk about push-pull legs, on push days, you're going to be hitting muscles used in pushing movements. So chest, shoulders, and triceps. And on pull days, you're going to be using muscles involved in pulling movements, like your back and your biceps. On leg days, you'll be using your lower body, so your quads, glutes, hamstrings, and calves. And upper and lower days are exactly as they sound. All right, let's talk about implementation of the push-pull legs upper-lower split for hypertrophy. First of all, I think this split is going to be best suited for a late beginner up to an advanced athlete. A true beginner doesn't really need to be in the gym 5 days per week. However, as you become more advanced, you'll require more volume to progress, and having 5 days in the gym can help you accommodate that volume. Now, in terms of how you spread out your days across the week, I actually like to go pull, push, legs, rest, upper, lower, rest. And here's why. Your lower body days will tend to be a lot more fatiguing than upper body days. And often having a heavy lower body day will interfere with your performance on an upper body day immediately after. However, starting with an upper body day won't necessarily affect your lower body day as much. So in the first half of the week, you'll have your upper body days before your lower body day. And then again, you'll have your upper day before your lower day later on. The other thing is I swapped my push and pull, and that's because I like having my pull days spread out from legs as much as possible. If you do a lot of heavy work with things like barbell rows, it might fatigue you for things like deadlifts on lower body days. All right, now let's talk about the pros and cons of the push-pull legs upper-lower split. First of all, starting with the pros, it's nice because you get a built-in twice per week frequency for all muscle groups. And that's going to help us maximize our productive volume. Push-pull legs upper-lower does a good job of balancing out muscle groups. If you watch my videos on push-pull legs and upper-lower splits, you'll know that push-pull legs tends to favor the upper body more, and the upper-lower split tends to favor the lower body more. So having a blend of these two split architectures will help to balance out the upper and lower body. The other thing is this split distributes fatigue well. As you recall, I suggested setting things up as pull, push, legs, rest, upper lower, rest, which gives you a really nice spread between your pull day and your lower body days throughout the week. If you're doing a lot of heavy free weight movements like barbell rows, deadlifts, and squats, it's best to try and spread these out as evenly as possible throughout the week. Now let's talk about the cons of the push-pull legs upper-lower split. The first con is that some of your small muscle groups like biceps and side delts might be fatigued at the end of your back and chest training. The issue with having a designated pull day or a designated upper body day is that your biceps get trained after back. And if you do a lot of compound heavy back work, your biceps might be fatigued by the time you get to the end of the workout to train them directly. Something similar might happen with side delts, where you might be fatigued after doing a lot of push work. The other thing is, if you follow the split as conventionally written, you will be constrained to a relatively low frequency of twice per week for all muscle groups. And some of the smaller muscle groups, in particular biceps and side delts, can benefit from higher frequency training since they recover quickly. The other con of this split is that since it's an asymmetric split, it's harder to track your progress and fatigue within the week. This mainly applies to the upper body, where you'll have a lot more dedicated volume for, say, your back training or your chest training on those designated pull and push days. And you might find yourself not performing the same or a lot more sore after those dedicated push and pull days rather than your upper body day later in the week. Now that we've talked about the pros and cons of the push-pull legs upper-lower split, let's get into a sample program. All right, so here's a conventional push-pull legs upper-lower program. So you've got your pull, push, lower day, and then upper and lower day. We've got the exercises and then sets and reps. And down here we got the number of total sets per workout, so you'll have an idea of how long sessions are going to be. And as a quick look as to what you're getting into, here are the weekly volumes for each muscle group. So you've got quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves, chest, back, side delts, biceps, and triceps. You'll see that this split lends itself nicely to setting up our days centered around our big major compound movements. So barbell row, bench press, back squat, barbell overhead press, and deadlifts. This will be handy for you if you want to implement some basic beginner strength programming. And I've structured this program in a way so you can implement that in a plug and play fashion. Starting off with our pull day, for back training, we've got 3 exercises here. Barbell rows, 4 sets of 6 to 10, lat pull downs, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and cable rows, 3 sets of 10 to 15. I'll start my workouts off with the heaviest compound movement first with lower reps, and then move on to lighter work with more reps later on. Then for our bicep training, we've got hammer curls and cable curls, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and 3 sets of 10 to 15. Lastly, we'll finish off our pull day with some upright rows, which I actually count for side delts, but we'll put them in here on pull day as a sneaky way to spread out some more side delt work. Moving on to our push day, we're going to start off with bench press, 4 sets of 5 to 8, then incline dumbbell presses, 3 sets of 6 to 10, and then we've got some tricep work, so easy bar skull crushers, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and cable press downs, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Lastly, we'll finish off with side delts here, so dumbbell lateral raises, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and cable lateral raises, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Moving on to our first lower body day, you've got back squats, 4 sets of 5 to 8, then Romanian deadlifts for hamstrings and glutes, that's 3 sets of 6 to 10, then some leg presses, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and then dumbbell lunges, which I personally count as glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets of 8 to 12. You've got some standing calf raises, 5 sets of 8 to 12, and lastly you've got abs, which I like to program in a tri-set where you do 3 exercises back to back with minimal rest, which would count as 1 set. Moving on to our upper body day, you'll start off with barbell overhead press, 3 sets of 5 to 8, and then dumbbell bench presses, 3 sets of 8 to 12. I'm starting off with an overhead press before your horizontal press here. This is personal preference. It depends on which lifts you're prioritizing. Then for our back training, we've got weighted chin-ups, 4 sets of 6 to 10. For biceps, we've got incline curls, 4 sets of 8 to 12. And then close grip bench presses, which I count for both tricep and chest work, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Finishing off, we've got some dumbbell lateral raises, 4 sets of 8 to 12. Moving on to our second lower body day, we've got deadlifts for the hamstrings and glutes, 3 sets of 5 to 8. Then front squats, 4 sets of 6 to 10. And leg extensions and leg curls, 3 sets of 10 to 15 each. Finally, we've got machine calf raises, 5 sets of 10 to 15, and abs, 3 tri-sets. You'll see that I've implemented a little bit of DUP, which is daily undulating periodization here, where some of the days will contain more high rep work versus others. Particularly on our dedicated push and pull days, since we've got more dedicated training for each muscle group, this is where I will implement my higher rep ranges like 10 to 15 reps. And you'll see that our second lower day here is biased towards higher rep training compared to the first lower day. A lot of people find that programming like this helps them spread out fatigue better. Now looking back at the disadvantages of this split as laid out, the issue some people might have is that their bicep training might suffer since it comes after back training, and their side delt work might be impacted by the push training that came earlier. So now let's move on and look at a modified version of this split. So again, we've got pull day, push day, lower 1, upper body day, and lower 2. Everything here is exactly the same in terms of the number of reps and rep ranges for different exercises. All I've done is shuffle the exercises around to address some of the disadvantages we have with this split. So first off, you'll see that I moved our bicep training away from pull day onto push day, and in place of that I moved our side delt training from push day onto the lower day after that. And from lower day, I took our calf raises and ab training and moved it over to pull day. Over on the upper lower days later in the week, you'll see that I did something similar. I moved our bicep and side delt training from upper day onto lower day, and I swapped it for our calf raises and ab training. You'll see that these modifications address a lot of the disadvantages we had with this 5-day split. When you move your bicep training off of pull day, you're able to hit it while you're fresh, and you'll likely be able to have much more productive bicep work. The same will go for side delts when you move them away from push training. Calf raises and abs got pushed around, but these exercises tend to fit in on basically any day, so it's easy to swap them around so you keep the length of your training days pretty even. Now the other issue we addressed when we made this modification is that we increased the frequency of our bicep training. I do only have direct bicep training on our push and lower 2 days. However, you do get some secondary bicep training from your back work. So we're actually hitting our biceps 4 times a week using this program. I also set it up in a way that allows us to hit our side delts 3 times per week. Alright guys, hope you picked up some insights looking at those programs. I think pull push legs upper lower is a viable strategy for 5 days per week. And hopefully you'll find some of those modifications I suggested helpful in your programming. A big takeaway here is I want you to remember that you can customize splits. A split structure is just a framework for you to build your programming off of. And it's important to know how to customize splits in order to get the best progress. I'm going to share the Excel file with these programs on it. You can download it for free by joining my Facebook group. The link will be in the description below. If you want to take your results to the next level, check out my book where I talk about how to customize your split and run it over time for the best results in terms of muscle growth. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave me a comment below. In particular, what split are you using right now? For some more background on the basics of program writing, check out my Basics of Training series where I go through all the major variables in terms of program writing for optimal hypertrophy. Till the next video, make sure you subscribe and we'll see you next time.